Today, testing the real-world hard drive speed of some cool drives, including Samsung's new T9 drive, and I'm going to show you what photographic gear I'm packing for my family trip to Australia. Well, hey everyone, Hudson here. I'm gearing up for a big family trip to Australia. I'll show what I'm going to take and how I'm packing it at the end of this video. I want to start off though with kind of an update on some different hard drive speeds. You know, it's been a little while since I tested drive speeds, and I've done it on my PC. I'm going to do it. I've done it on my Mac and my PC. I'm going to run through some of those tests, show you how I evaluate these drives. You know, Samsung just announced this new USB 3.2 2x2 standard drive, which is confusing. What does that mean? There's all these new SSD drives coming out that say that they max out at 2 gigabytes per second, but we're going to talk about why most computers that you have today might not necessarily be able to take advantage of that, and we'll just test it against some other drives. All right, let's jump in. So what I got here to test is, you know, the drives that are in my PC. I have two really fast M.2 NVMe drives we can run some tests on. I've got my NAS drive connected via 10 gigabit Ethernet. We can show how fast that connection is. We'll look at an old an old spinning drive, a really nice G drive, spinning backup drive I've got that's 4 terabytes. We'll look at my old speed test record drive for an SSD drive, which is this Lexar Blaze 1 terabyte drive. And then we'll look at Samsung's 4 terabyte T7 Shield drive, which I've been using in the field for excess photography and backup. And the new T9 drive, I've got a 4 terabyte one of those. I'm deciding whether I'm going to keep or not. It came today, which prompted me to do some of these tests. So, all right, well, let's just delve in and I'll show you, how I do this. In the past, I've just sort of transferred a big bunch of files of all different sizes. And on the PC, it gives me a speed while it's doing the transfer. But I've downloaded some software from Blackmagic. Blackmagic does a lot of video software, and it's called Blackmagic Disk Speed Test. So I'll show you, I'll actually put a link in this video's full description to a website that shows you where to go to get this software and how to get it. It's a little easier for the Mac, which makes sense since the Mac doesn't give you write speeds while you're transferring files. But you can get it for the PC really easily too from Blackmagic. It's free software. And it's really, really pretty cool. I'm going to also open up a Windows Explorer view. And I've thrown myself small down here. And we're just going to jump in. You can see I've got two really fast SSD drives on the motherboard of this computer. They're both NVMe M.2 drives, about as fast as you can get. Data flowing, to your motherboard is through a motherboard mounted NVMe drive or one mounted in a Thunderbolt enclosure. So let's go ahead and test what those can do first. So let's take a look at my operating system drive. You select target, you click that little window there that looks like a light and you say select target drive. And I'm just going to go to this PC and I'm going to go in here to a folder I created called test on my system drive. It's that little button goes to where we're going for our target. And you go ahead and hit the speed test. And you can see that wrote at 3,225 megabytes per second. So, you're looking at really, really fast. It's reading it over 4 gigabytes a second. Nice and fast. All right, well, let's check how my data drive is handling. This is a really nice thing that you can just jump in here. We'll say the data drive, and I can just pick that. That's not a system drive. It's not read-only. So the root of it is not read-only. I'll go ahead and click test. Also, about 3,200, really nice and fast. Also, up in the, very similar, all right? 3,200, 4,350, it's right in there. Nice and fast, insanely fast. This is why people say you should really be putting data on your system drive. I like having a separate system software drive and a separate data drive. That's why I have two installed on this motherboard. It's one of the reasons why I love this PC is I can pull it apart and there are two NVMe slots on the motherboard. Now, I've got the cable that came with this brand new Samsung T9 drive. This is a state-of-the-art USB-C cable capable of transferring 5 gigabytes per second. So it should not be a limiting factor. You got to make sure you're using a cable that can transfer the data flow that you want. You don't want the cable to be the log jam. And I'm going to plug it into this old spinning G drive. And you know, this was a state-of-the-art backup drive for me not that long ago. Let's see how a spinning drive handles. It's going to get loaded on here. There it is, Armor ATD. That's what they called them. And we'll go ahead. It's a 4 terabyte drive, even bigger than, might have been 5 terabyte drive. I'm going to go ahead, select target drive. I'm going to say Armor ATD, select. Let's start its test. It's going to be writing the same amount of data, and you can see, oh, here comes that red line. Well, maybe I'll get back to you when this thing finishes and we can look at the read speed. Whew, that was kind of agonizing. We got up to 105 megabytes per second as opposed to, what, 4.5 gigabytes on my system drive. And this doesn't look to be a whole lot faster. I think we can stop it. You get the idea. You know, if anybody wants to buy a used 5 terabyte G drive cheap, just let me know. I haven't used it for a while. It used to be something, but yeah, times change. So we'll unplug that guy, and let's plug in the Lexar drive. This drive scored really, really high last time I did one of these tests. It's a 1 terabyte SSD drive, and they don't make it in larger than a terabyte at this speed, unfortunately. It's kind of made for video gamers to save and back up and do their files. And I used it as a Lightroom drive for a while, but that 1 terabyte size is a little bit limiting. I use it to back up my Lightroom drive now, and it's quite quick for that. So let's select it. We're going to go select target drive, go into my this PC, and we'll select the Blaze and hit run on that. Ooh, something's gone wrong. I don't know if I connected that wrong or what, but I ejected it, reconnected it, and now it's running where I expect it to. It's running at about 900 megabytes per second on the write speed, close to a gigabyte a second on the read speed. It's still a blazing fast drive. I wish that they built some that were a little bit bigger. It's performed well. I've had no issues with it. So yeah, we'll hit stop on that. We'll eject that guy. Let's see. You probably don't see all of what I'm doing down here. Let's see. Ejecting that guy. And let's try plugging in the Samsung T7 Shield drive. One thing I love about the Samsung T7 Shield drive is that it is IP65 waterproof and heavily shock resistant. So that's just nice for when I'm carrying it in the field. We'll select our target drive. We'll go in here at this PC, select the Shield, and hit start. Yeah, no problem there. So it's writing darn close, about 896 megabytes per second. Reading, I mean. Writing a little slower, not significantly slower. The nice thing is this is 4 terabytes. So, oh, there we go. Up over 900 now that it's kind of warmed up and running its second test. Remember, the Lexar did some weird thing where it was maxing out at like 25 megabytes a second for a minute. So yeah, so about 900 megabytes per second, no slouch. Sure, the Lexar writes just a little bit faster, but it's only a terabyte. Maybe be the difference right there. All right. Oh, I promised I would run my NAS. Let's have a look at that really quick. You know, some people really doubt how the 10 gigabit Ethernet speed limits your system. So let's just jump in here. I'm going to select a target drive, go to my PC, run over to the NAS, and well, actually, yeah, let's put it in video on my NAS. All right, we'll select that folder and hit start. 500. That's a little slower than I would expect. Reading, ooh, 1,000. Look at that, just as fast as those hard drives. How's it going to do on its second spin? Ooh, it's getting a little warmer. So writing in, 530 megabytes per second. Reading up over 1,000 megabytes per second, which is about the maximum threshold of 10 gigabit Ethernet. So not too shabby at all. All right, for being 50 terabytes. All right, so now let's move on to the Samsung T9. That's the big unknown. That's the new one that's supposed to be up to 2 gigabytes a second. You know, if you have USB 3.2 Gen 2+2, which yet they make it more confusing, the USB standards. So I'm going to go ahead and eject the shield, which was 900. All right, it's ejected. I'm going to plug in the T9, the brand new T9, which is relatively shock resistant, but not waterproof like the shield. They'll probably come out with T9 shields before too very long. It's connected. Let's select the target drive. We'll say it's the T9 black. Select the folder. Hit start. It's a little more than 900. 920. And read speed. 930. Let's let it run a couple times. Man, 900-ish. Yeah. Not a whole big, huge difference because we don't have the latest USB standard. So unless you have a brand new PC that's spec'd USB 3.2 Gen 2+2, or you know the new one coming, also USB 4 is coming, you're not really going to get significant speed increases going from Samsung T7 or T7 Shield, the durable version, to this T9, which costs a fair bit more, 20% more. You know, it's marketed as 2 gigabytes per second, but as you can see, it's not significantly different. Still, the fastest drive I'm testing is this one by Lexar, the Blaze, but again, limited to 1 terabyte. So if you look at the pricing on these, we're going to just exclude the whole G drive, old spinning drive. Anybody wants that for 25 bucks, let me know. This guy is about $99 for a terabyte. The Samsung, which is only slightly slower at read speed, is $79.99 on sale right now. So 10 bucks cheaper, actually 20 bucks cheaper for the 4 terabyte version. Or no, for the 1 terabyte version, sorry. 2 terabytes is only 120 bucks. And 4 terabytes is on sale for $199. So not a bad deal, 200 bucks for 4 terabytes. The new T9 comes in at 110 bucks for a single terabyte, 150 bucks for 2 terabytes, and 250 bucks for 4 terabytes. So about 50% more. Now, if you're planning on getting a new PC, that's something. I tested these drives on the Mac, and surprisingly, they're all significantly slower on the brand new Mac Ultra plugged into a Thunderbolt 4 port. So, you know, it's just a different, the way that the Mac communicates with them is definitely not USB 3.2 2+2. They're slower on the Mac than they are on the PC, on the Mac Studio right now. And I don't know of any Macs that are speccing this new USB 3.2 2+2 gen. So unless you're a PC user of the latest and greatest version that has the 2+2, or you plan on buying such a computer in the next couple of years, you're probably wasting your money on the T9. And we won't be able to theoretically test how much of that 2 gigabytes per second it actually yields in practice until there's a computer at hand like that. All right, well, let's talk about what I'm taking to Australia. And I'm going to mention, well, first off, this is a family trip. It's really not a photo trip. It's not a workshop scouting trip. It's a trip to go see my family in Melbourne, Australia. You know, my cousin Pilar, her husband Ben, my aunt Denise, and Pilar and Ben's little girl Stella, who's just adorable. So my family's going to go. It's going to give the kids a chance to see wallabies and kangaroos, give Stacy and I a chance to do a little kite foiling in warm weather in December, and we'll be back just in time for Christmas here. So it's a shorter trip. It's not as photo focused. I'm paring down on what I'm taking. But we are going to be seeing animals and wildlife. I thought long and hard about it, and I'm leaving my 100 to 400 millimeter lens behind. And I'm taking the Z50 with the 50 to 250, kind of putting my money where my mouth is from last week's video about why DX can be a great choice. And it also lets my little boy Pike and my little girl Pepper have a camera to work with and play with some wildlife. I'm going to pack that. I'll put a couple of lens claws and things inside here to just pad this old padded Locro case of mine out and that'll get packed in with kite surfing gear, kites, clothes, that kind of stuff. We're taking a bunch of duffel bags on this trip. We are a family who does not travel light, being skiers and mountain bikers and kite surfers. I'm also taking my case for the Leica Q3 that I really like, the mirrorless Mover 10 case, and I'll pad it with some stuff that I can check in my other bags. I've got a whole bunch of memory cards in my little low pro memory wallet that was on my Christmas gift list. It's in my links at my ATS links page. You can just click right here or go down in the video's full description to run over to hudsonhenry.com/ATS links to see any of the stuff that I'm talking about, including the hard drives that were tested in this video. I've got its little Really Right Stuff, universal L bracket, some cleaning cloths, stuff like that. That'll get packed, even with a couple more things in it, go in the bag with all the kite surfing stuff. I've got a nice holster that I still love from f-stop, their NVMe holster, which is sort of, it can morph out and carry a longer lens or carry a shorter lens. I use that with a NYA-EVO strap that comes with the assistant pouch. Just sometimes to carry the ZF or a smaller camera, sometimes the Q3 even, and other stuff in here on my side, on my hip. So just a nice holster, can also mount to a pack. But on the trip, inside of it, I'm taking some cleaning gear. I'm gonna grab my blower, my little amazing machine, you know, VSGO rocket, the really high-powered electric blower. I'm gonna take its battery out because that's a lithium-ion battery that needs to go in my non-checked bag. I've got my cleaning kit. I've got sensor cleaning kit and gel and stuff like that in here. The accessories for the VSGO, including the blower head, that's not a battery. That's just the fan and the head that blows out the sensor. Some cleaning gear, stuff like that. Just little odds and ends to keep my cameras in peak shape in this nice little Manfrotto bag that's also in my Christmas gift list. So I'm gonna put that inside there and check that along with the stuff that's just going in the rolling duffels on the plane. Also going in the rolling duffels on the plane, I'm gonna take my ultralight tripod. I'll probably wish I had the tall fluid head, but again, this is a family trip first and foremost, a photography trip. Not really, it's not as big a photography trip. So I'll be bringing my smaller rig, the 4.5 pound ultralight setup with the pan and tilt panorama head from Acrotech. Those are in my custom tripod build. That'll just get thrown in with kite surfing gear in the duffel bags. Finally, what's not going on my back completely is my DJI Air 3 drone, which I absolutely adore. I banged it up a little in Scotland. I'll have a video about that before too long. And I gotta say, DJI was so amazing about getting it back to me within a week of sending it in for repairs and charging me an incredibly modest fee while they did an amazing job making this drone like new. But before I do that, I'm gonna pull its battery charging system with my 2 spare batteries, and I'm also gonna kind of spread the drone's arms apart and get the battery that's in it out, which I'll slide right into that pack with the others. And that's gonna get packed into the bag I check on the plane, along with that VSGO blower battery and the controller, which has a big lithium-ion battery. You don't wanna be checking those lithium-ion batteries. And I'll pack some clothes and stuff in here to round this out and throw it into my rolling duffel with the other stuff that's going in the rolling duffel. You know, I don't think it's gonna be end of the world if something happens to my rolling duffel with the drone and stuff. Luckily, I have this video, which I can show the insurance company if anything weird goes off. Going in this bag with me, alongside the VSGO battery for the blower, the drone batteries, and the drone's controller for the Air 3, is this little bag with my GoPro Hero 10 and a bunch of spare batteries for that, along with a little lav recording mic and a 32-bit float recorder from Zoom. So that has a lot of lithium ion in it. It's gonna go in the bag with me. Then I've got my NYA-EVO bag, and I have my small removable camera insert, because I'm not taking a ton of gear. And in here, I have a Think Tank battery wallet, and in there I have Z50 Leica Q3 and Nikon ZF batteries, the EN-EL15s. I have a couple of the EN-EL15s, one spare Leica battery, couple and a spare for the Z50. Obviously, I got my Leica Q3 stuff right here with a little cover, cinched cover over it. I have my 50 1.0 lens and its hood in this one spot right here, tucked in. I have my Nikon ZF with its 24-120, the greatest all-purpose lens and Sunstar weapon. It's just a super handling, do-it-all type of lens. Again, I'm taking the Z50 with the 50-250. If I run into some awesome wildlife situation, I might have to grab it from Pike and Pepper. I've got my Luma Labs QD strap. I've got a full case Revolution 82mm filter set, 3.6 10-stop neutral density filters, polarizer, UV filter, all set, ready to go. And then I have adapter rings for all 3 cameras with 82mm lens caps ready to go just to deploy on there, and some Allen wrenches along with the remote control, the Bluetooth remote control for the ZF. And I still have this whole top of this thing to pack out. And I'll bring a little computer bag as my second carry-on item with headphones and snacks to stick under the seat with me. Nice and simple. So that's how I'm flying to Australia. That's what I'm taking. I'll produce some stuff there. I'll let you see what we captured while we were out there having fun in the sun. I hope everybody is staying safe, staying creative, enjoying the holidays, enjoying good food. While you watch this, I'm actually already in Australia, so hopefully I got all my stuff, and we'll see you next week.